everybody. Oh, I hope you're excited for a good class today. Lots of good information for today. Lots and lots and lots, and that's what I love sharing. So if you could, let me know if you can hear me okay, and we're good to go. And we will get started with today. Just to make sure, I got to make sure y'all can hear me okay. All right, I think we're good to go. All right, so let's get started. For those of you that are new to this series, welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Shauna Siegel. I am your host. I'm also the CEO of One Choice for Your Store. And if you have questions, please email me support@1c4y.com or twitter.com Shauna Siegel or facebook.com Shauna Siegel, whatever it takes, just come and ask me the questions. So for those of you that are just joining us and you haven't kind of heard of me before, because we've got a lot of new people, which is exciting, I got started in 2000, and I'd like to say I was a picture-perfect mom, but that was clearly not the case. I was in jammies. I was going crazy, pulling out my hair. I had kids screaming in the background, so I've been there, done that. Now I try to focus on the things that I love, which is I am the founder and CEO of One Choice for Your Store. I am a Yahoo small business partner, and I love teaching all things SEO and Yahoo. That's kind of my favorite stuff. Now, as far as education, love education. Not only are we having these Tuesday teachings for e-commerce analytics, but we also have Wednesdays our group coaching, which we're discussing social media marketing. Just started a brand new session that's really great. On Thursdays we have a Yahoo store class, and then also on Thursdays we have an HTML and CSS class that just got started. So if you're thinking about wanting to learn some of that, I highly recommend it. Now, for those of you that have Yahoo stores, we are starting an RTML class on August 5th, and today is the last day for the early bird discount. So if you have not signed up yet, make sure you do so today for the early bird discount. The class is going to be really great. It's going to teach you a lot of stuff to teach you more control over your Yahoo store, and you can find that on our website. And then also we have a JavaScript and jQuery class starting September 9th, although I highly recommend having that HTML and CSS beforehand. Now, the classes that we're doing is for a class that is on the Google Analytics Academy, and we're following along and kind of reinforcing the important ideas. And one of the things I want to make sure that you understand, that if you're just doing the class for certification, then you have to complete those tests. You have to complete those tests by July 31st. If you do not finish it by July 31st, you won't get the special certification that they have. For most of you, that's not a big deal because you're learning this because you want to make sure that you understand the information. So as we try to understand what we're looking to do, we always have to make sure that we focus on the goals of our customers, and we have to focus on what they're looking for. We have to match their expectation, match the intent, so we can increase conversions. Because if we don't, we will lose traffic and rankings and sales because they will go to our competitors. So our goal is to always complete clear paths of awareness, interest, desire, and action. And today we're going to take a look a little bit more at information that can help us to reach those customers. So one of the things that we can look at by certain reports is that we can look and see, okay, well, wait a minute. Our revenue is down significantly compared to last year. So there could be all kinds of different reasons for this. Maybe they've adjusted their marketing budget, or maybe they've made changes to their websites, or maybe there's a new competitor. But what we're going to do is we're going to start looking at some of the traffic sources to make sure that the programming or the traffic sources that we want are performing as we expect them to. So when we look at traffic source, analysis, we want to learn what brings in the most traffic, okay? Because we want to know information about what happens in these sessions and how they're initiated. So which which traffic source brings in the most revenue, which have the highest conversion rates, which have the lowest, which one drives the highest value transactions, which one generates the highest user engagement. All of that information we can acquire by looking at some of the information on our reports. So what you want to do is, and let me say it again, you will have a link to this PDF file that you can view at any time. I will give that to you at the end of class. You also have the ability, you'll be able to download this, and you can also watch the videos as well. I've tried to put this from the class as much onto here as possible so that you can have a written format to look at. Make sure that you pay attention to kind of some of the things that we have on the left-hand side for when you go to your website to go look at these numbers yourself. And I will make sure that you have that link at the end of the class. If I forget, just kick me underneath the table, and I'll make sure that I include that. You know what? I'm going to sticky note me, because I would forget something silly like that and make you wait until the blog post comes out. All right. So link for PDF. Okay, this is like on the monitor, ready to go. Seriously, I'm going to have to take a picture of that. All right, so if we want to look at our traffic, one of the first things we want to do is go to Acquisitions and click on All Traffic. And once we're on that page, we now want to click on E-commerce. And come on, baby. My movements are not going. So we're going to click on e-commerce. And then we're also going to do some filtering, because we want to look at those websites that bring us over 500 visitors. Now, in order to do that, we're going to click on the Advanced tab. And again, you'll have this PDF that has it all laid out for you. And then we want to make sure when you see the 1, 2, 3, 4 on your PDF, these are kind of like you have to follow these steps. So we want to make sure that we click on sessions greater than, input 500, and then make sure that you hit that apply button at number 4. And then we also want to adjust the rows to show us 25, because that's going to help us kind of view all the important information on one screen. Now, let's also do something by sorting by revenue, because this is going to tell you the last click attribution model, which is basically this revenue is attributed to where did it come from last. So what that basically means is, okay, maybe I found you on Facebook, but then I did a search, and then I went to your website, and now I'm going to purchase from you. So for every traffic source, what we want to do is we want to increase transactions and the average order value. Those of you that meet with me in our consulting and our SEO, you know that these are numbers that I look at, right? I want to increase not only total revenue, but our average order values. I like those numbers. Those are good numbers. Now, the average order value, let's take a look at this report here. From YouTube, and the total revenue from YouTube, seems to be a clear winner. However, look at how much Google brings us as far as more traffic and total number of sales. Now, this is kind of important information that we should understand. So what is it that's happening on YouTube that is providing such a great average order value, that is providing, more revenue itself? Do we need to pay more attention to that? When they're coming in from Google Organic, do we need to somehow relate them to our YouTube videos to help to increase the average order value? Because we have, as you can see, this is 59% of the transactions coming from Google, but look at the total sales. Look at the average order value. This may be something where we say, you know what? We really need to pay more attention to YouTube. We need to start creating some more videos. And so this is some of the data that we can look at. Now, there is a couple of things that we want to think about when it comes to transactions and your average order value. We really want to optimize the number of transactions and the average order value. And if a number of transactions is low, average order value, could we bring that up? Now, let's look at this a different way. This is how we're going to do it let's look at the e-commerce conversion rate and see what happens. Now, this is interesting because as we can see, Google Plus actually has a much higher conversion rate. And so this may be a really great place to increase our marketing efforts. Are we doing enough marketing on Google Plus? Should we be doing more? And how are we going to go about that? Because we have a great conversion rate coming in from Google Plus. This is the kind of data that's extremely important because here we're thinking that YouTube is almighty and wonderful, but yet look at the conversion rate. It's 3.73%, but yet that's where we made all of our revenue. And this is why I talk to people about really understanding your analytics and going in and looking at the entire picture. Because oftentimes I see store owners that will only look at the e-commerce conversion rate. And they would have missed out completely on YouTube, which has brought us in the most amount of revenue and has the highest order value. So we want to make sure that we're looking at the entire picture, and that's what today is about. Now, when it comes to conversion rates, you have to understand that customers may be specially inclined to buy from certain traffic resources. For instance, if I have liked you and gotten to know you and I am in your social circle and you are in my social circle because I've liked your page, I might be more apt to buy from you because of that. So what we want to pay attention to is if a source has a high conversion rate but low transactions or a lower average, kind of order value, we might want to increase the marketing there, or we might want to pay attention to someplace else, right? So it's like, well, wait, we've got high conversion but low transactions. Let's get more sales. If you have low conversions, then that tells us, look, we need to either improve this or we need to shut it down. Now, again, this is a reason why, it's so funny. I had 2 conversations about social media today, about getting our customers started on our social media service, because when we look at social media, we don't always see that direct sale all the time. And because it may not be the way that is going to show up in your numbers, because Google is going to show the last place it came in from. So it may be that I've connected with you socially, but then I do an organic search and I know your name because I am with you on that social, and now I'm going to go ahead and make that purchase. So you have to kind of pay attention to some of these things because some of those lower converting ones might be assisting those other sources. So always make sure that you do your research first. So when we sort, kind of like showing the lowest conversion, because last time what we did is we sorted by the e-commerce conversion rate from the top. Now we're going from the bottom. Look what happens. We are kind of seeing some interesting information, right? These websites are bringing us in the least amount, but again, okay, look at the conversion rate. Whatever this site is, it's got a 1.23% conversion rate. What can we do with that? How can we make that better? And of course, the other side of it is if we're spending a ton of money on this, let's say, Delta search, and we've made $5 and we have a 0.5% conversion rate, and this is just awful compared to the other numbers that we've seen, then in that case, stop the bleeding. This is what we have to do. Stop the bleeding. Because you're going to find that throughout your business that there are things that you really should be doing, and then there are things that you should really give to somebody else. Because maybe they can take that over because, let's say, using the referral, right? Let's say you're the YouTube of the company. You're the one that's bringing in the most amount of money. You're bringing in the most revenue, but you're spending all your time on these little itty-bitty stuffs. So this is why you have to sometimes outsource some of the things that you cannot do. You need to be that one funnel that brings in the most amount of money. So now we look at the value of conversion from other types of goals, because that's going to allow us to analyze traffic, which actually converts into goals, such as, did they download our coupon? All right? Because sources might not turn into transactions right there, but they still have an action that we want to see on our website. And we can change the marketing based upon what works on high conversion sources. So now what we're going to do is go back in and click on the Summary tab. And in the drop-down, we'll choose goal number 5 and choose our coupon. And when we do this, now we're seeing some other numbers, right? Remember those low conversion websites? They have the highest conversion for downloading our coupon. Reddit wasn't a top source of traffic, but drives very valuable customer behavior. So if we want to increase these downloads for other resources, we can look at these and see what are we doing right and what are we doing wrong. And the other thing we want to pay attention to is the bounce rate. The bounce rate is basically what percentage of users leave after just viewing one page. Because if you find that a source has a high bounce rate and high traffic, there might be a problem on your landing page, and you need to make adjustments. So what you want to learn is research which sources have the low bounce rate and why. Research the resources that have a high bounce rate and why. Now let's dive into a little bit more of this behavior. We're going to go into, let me go back. Look at our Google+. Now we talked about this where we were able to see kind of like some of the conversions, right? But this has a 42% bounce rate. Look at just plain Google.com referral that has a 13.79% bounce rate. However, the ones that are coming from Google Plus have the highest pages per session. The ones that are coming from Google Plus also have the highest session duration, which is how long are they staying in your site? How many pages are they clicking on? And then, are they downloading our coupon? Because if they are downloading our coupon, we've got a conversion rate of 32.9%. But that's just downloading the coupon. So this is, again, why you want to look at the entire story. You want to look at all traffic reports so that you can get different perspectives. Help determine where your marketing dollars are really working and not working for you. And the other thing about the traffic report is it's really going to show you where valuable customers come from. Now, here's something cool that if you haven't used this yet, I think you will love it, because we want to look at the multi-channel funnel. Now, this is another way that we can evaluate our traffic. Rather than just measuring based upon the last click conversion or based upon revenue, we can evaluate these channels based upon how they assisted other channels in generating revenue. AKA, did they find me on social and then search and those two things work together? Or did they have to find me on PPC and organic and social to make it all work? We need to know this. It's assisted conversions. So, for instance, a good example would be like display advertising, because display often helps other channels generate those kinds of transactions and revenue because it engages users early in the buying cycle. Now, assisted conversions and assisted revenue are important ways to measure your brand-based marketing or any other marketing that's not intended to drive direct conversions. And for that, we can use the attribution modeling tool to understand the overall value of the channels and marketing activities that assist you most with conversions. I'm finding that my mouth is like sticking together today, and the words are just sticking together. Try a couple more drinks. Okay, so when we're looking at the multi-channel analysis, here's what we're looking to do. Which channels engage our customers throughout the entire buying cycle? How do our marketing channels and campaigns work together to generate conversions? And are there any really specific channels or campaigns or parts of our campaign that are underperforming? And what's the value of our investment for those channels that don't generate direct conversions? Direct conversion is you find me on search, you go to my site, you make a purchase. So what we want to do, we're going to click on conversions. We're going to go to multi-channel funnels, and we're going to click on overview, and then the last step is to close the report pane. Once we get to this page, we're going to want to make sure that we are on all. We're also going to want to click here to unselect or deselect all of the goals. We're just wanting to have e-commerce, and then we're going to click to apply. So that will remove those checkboxes and only leave one for transaction. Now, make sure you hit apply, because that's going to be important, and leave the type as all and leave the look back window to 30 days. A look back window is how many days are we going to look back? All right. How much time prior to conversion? Julie wants to know, is this with e-commerce applied to the site? So yes, you want to make absolutely sure that your site is collecting all of the data for e-commerce. My favorite tool to use is Monetis.com. It really bridges together the Yahoo store and lets you see a much fuller and complete picture of everything going on in the website. I absolutely and highly recommend it. The problem that they have with the Yahoo store and the analytics is that your Yahoo store is on one domain and your shopping cart is on another. And so it has a lot of problems bringing together that data all together. And so Monetis basically provides that bridge for you. Now, when we look at this, Google's going to automatically select and group similar traffic together. So if it's organic from Google or organic from Bing, it doesn't matter. It's going to go in organic. And what I want you to do is look at your diagram, because the diagram shows kind of like what's coming from where. And we can also see where we have an overlap. For instance, if we click on the large button, we see organic search was involved in over half of the conversion paths. Okay? Now, that's great. But you can also see there's overlapping channels and see how much those had a part of being involved with driving conversions. So, for instance, if we move our mouse over slightly, we can find out that 13.46% came from that organic and direct. That's important. So perhaps what they did, this kind of, it helps to tell a story. Either they found us through search and then came back directly. Maybe they bookmarked it or put it on their Facebook page and they came back, they had a direct link back to you. Or it could be the other way around. But the beauty of this is being able to see these overlaps of all the pieces of the puzzle that come together. Now, a new one that a lot of people kind of are like putting into play more and more, and by the way, let me just say this again, I've been talking about this a lot today. A lot of people look at their social and think they're looking at quick reports and they're not seeing, the social networks as bringing them in, those direct sales. But I'm telling you, and it takes a while to get started, you will see those coming in as assisted. You're going to start to see more and more of those if you're doing things correctly on those social circles. And that's one of the reasons why our group coaching class has started our new session, which is Kick-Ass Social Commerce for Entrepreneurs. If you need help with that social and you're a do-it-yourselfer, come join the class. Tomorrow we start chapter 3 out of 13. And the other ones have been recorded. If you're like, I'm too busy with that, please email me. Let's get you over, a quote, and let's get this going. Now, here's how we can see our social. Let's go ahead and click on the social network. And now we can go ahead and look a little bit deeper in here. And what we've learned is that 7.7% kind of doesn't overlap with other channels and come directly and give us direct sales. Awesome, right? So what that's telling us is that a lot of this social actually works more independently than other channels. It's also reaching customers that other channels have completely missed, which basically means they're not finding you directly, they're not finding you organically. The only way they found you is through those social networks. These are important numbers that I want you to make sure that you're looking at. Now let's open the assisted conversions report. You're going to go under conversions, multi-channel funnels, and then assisted conversions. Again, you'll get this PDF at the very end, because what we want to look at is which source did a better job at introducing products and which source did a better job at conversions. So we can look at this and say, okay, direct and organic are most likely to convert, even though the referrals help to really close the sale. Those referrals really help for closing the sale. And that's important. That's really important. Now, the other thing that you need to pay attention to is the closer to zero we are, the more likely it is that it's going to result in a sale. Okay? So a sale. So for instance, a referral, well, not so much for that direct conversion, right? However, look at the social network. The social network is even closer to actually closing the sale. It has a better job of converting. So you've got to look at these entire pictures. Got to look at it. Let's go ahead and kind of look at this one here, all right? What we've done is we've done first interaction analysis. And what we can learn here by looking at the first interaction, when you first met me, what did you do? Referrals and social networks have a much higher first and last click conversion for first interaction. So you met me through social, you came in, you bought. So really these are channels that help us. These other channels help to introduce our customers to our products. And so one of the things you might be thinking of is, well, customers have to see me a couple of different ways. Yes, absolutely, they do. Think about a billboard. Think about how we learn. One of the things you may not know is that our minds have to see something 3 times in order to remember it. 3 times in order to remember it. Kind of interesting, isn't it? I think so. I think it's kind of interesting. But that's how we learn, okay? So how are we going to measure channels that really they just kind of assist? So we're going to click on the model comparison. And here what we can see, and what you'll need to do is click on that first interaction and then conversion and value. And what we can see is that revenue credit based on last interaction or direct or the very last click. So you compare the value of each channel based upon how we give it credit, and organic and social provide great conversions upon first interaction. First interaction, I meet you and then I want to buy from you. We like those guys, right? So what you want to look for are channels that have larger values, because this value was obscured using that last click value on its own. The referral traffic that we're getting, it does have a monetary value. And now we know where we can focus. But you want to make sure that you're also doing a lot of different testing. And another thing we can look at, and which is really cool, if we want to learn more about this, like who's purchasing our products and what they're interested in, we can really focus on like future audience targeting and ad messaging and really adjust our overall marketing strategy. So when we do a customer profile, we want to know what was the behavior of users that converted versus those that didn't. What were the demographic characteristics of those that converted? What were the technology platforms that made it harder for your users to convert? What other characteristics of users are there that converted over to a sale? So let's compare those that made a purchase and those that did not. What we can find out is users are more engaged, higher pages, higher duration, and a lower bounce rate just by looking at this kind of data. And what we're also looking at, if you look at the graph, at the pie chart, returning visitors are more likely to make a purchase. However, we've got far too many users on their first visit that are not making a purchase at all. So the decision to purchase may require them to come back for more information, or we're not providing them with enough information the first time around. Now, this gives you kind of a story, but you have to apply that story and really use it to help you understand what's going on. So we can look at, based upon this information, did our marketing not meet user expectation? Do we need to do a major overview of our landing pages? What happened? Because 88.9% of our new visitors did not make a purchase. The average time on site was 1 minute and 12 seconds. That's their average time on our site when they don't make a purchase. Something we might want to look at, when they do make a purchase, it takes about 7 minutes. Is that why we're losing sales? Is it taking them too long to make a decision? Do they need to go back to other people or have other people help with the buying decision? Is it a complicated transaction? Look at all of the data to help you. Now, scroll down a little bit and we can view our audience that purchased and did not purchase even further. Majority of our users are using English US as their language. However, look at the Spanish version. Are we really missing out on a valuable market that we should be having discussions with in their own language? Click on country and territory. Largest version of customers come from the United States, but look at the traffic that's coming from India and United Kingdom. This is a store that does not offer international shipping. So if they were going to consider offering that and consider marketing to international shoppers, I know where the first two countries I would be going to do my marketing. Now, click on audience and demographics overview, and we can learn the ages of our customers who are more likely to buy. As a matter of fact, our most likely to buy person is 25 to 34 years old, and they are males. However, the 18 to 24 group, a lot of them don't convert. We can also see that with those males making more purchases, this would be a great audience to market to. A lot of people in Facebook, they want to just advertise to everybody. What if we could zero in? What if we could focus? What if we could just say, you know what, we're going to focus on 25 to 34-year-old males, and that's who we're going to target in our ads. That's going to make a big difference. That's going to make a big difference on your profit margin because you're going to spend less to get more sales. Let's keep going. By clicking on interest overview, we can get an idea of who's buying from us. And as a matter of fact, they are techno people, techies. They love news and they love TVs and movies, right? The ones that aren't really buying from us, more music lovers, more movie lovers. Now think about this. This is an outdoor store. Maybe those TV and movie lovers, they want to stay home. They don't want to get outdoors. This just gives you more data. Some of it's interesting, some of it's critical. Now we can also look at the user experience and purchase differences, but to do that, let's go ahead and click to turn this into a pie chart. And as we can see, mobile and tablet is much lower when it comes to purchases. So what we are seeing here is one of two things or even both. Excuse me. Because our guys are techies, right? They're big techies. Perhaps they search on their tablet and mobile, but they go to their desktop to make that purchase. Or maybe the mobile site is not working as it should, and they don't feel like they can purchase from the mobile site. This is another area that we could look into. And now by looking at all of this data, what do we have? We have a vision of our client. We can put a face and a name together. We have a young male that's 25 to 34 interested in tech news and TV. They use mobile but purchase from their desktops. So we could design and ad using mobile to start off our conversation and then use desktop to close the sale. But now that we know who we're marketing to, it helps us to speak their language. It helps us to be the places where they are at. It helps us to connect with our customer. And now a lot of people will go, but I sell to everybody. Well, as we're learning in our social media class, you don't sell to everybody. You sell to people that purchase your products. And if you have a clear vision of who purchased your product, and you can give them a face and a name and get that information, you can then highly target your message for the one that's going to buy from you, because we don't care about traffic. I would rather have 10 people come to my site and 10 people buy than 1,000 people coming to my site and one of them buys. I only want people that are going to spend money. That's why we're here. So now we start a vision of who our client is. So in summary, and you'll want to make sure that you know this for the test parts if you are taking the test. The all traffic report can help you understand which traffic sources result in the most conversions and help you determine why. And the multi-channel report can further fill in the picture by showing you how certain channels and campaigns assist other channels. And by using segmentation in conjunction with the audience, you can develop profiles of your customers. And if there's an audience overlap with a notable percentage, it may benefit from coordinating different marketing messages. Now, some channels are best at assisting e-com conversions relative to the number of last or direct click conversions it drove, and you can always use advertising targeting to reach more users who are more likely to convert based upon audience information. Your homework for this week: complete all 3 walkthroughs and tutorials under Unit 2. Find out what sources bring in the most conversions to your store and why. Find which sources assist you in getting conversions. Find out if there's any paid sources that do not help you reach your goals and do not assist in helping to reach your goals. And also learn which users are more likely to convert and are you targeting them. And then you want to make sure that if you're going after, you want the pretty certification from Google, you're going to want to make sure that you go online because it is a certificate available, but it's only until the 31st. You have to get that done by the 31st. Our class is taking things a little bit slower, so we can really go over it, really kind of dig in, and really just kind of help this kind of information stick. Now, next week, we're going to be going over Unit 3, which is about enhanced e-commerce. Awesome new information that you're going to love. And after we go through that session, the following week, we're going to actually dive into stores that need a little help kind of figuring out this information and looking at their data and helping them to complete a picture of who that customer is. And now I know that I promised that I would give you guys a PDF, if I'm not mistaken, right? Okay, so in the chat room, you're going to notice a link. That link will take you straight to the PDF file. The PDF file has everything that you just watched. I will be posting the replay on our blog if you go to blog.onechoiceforyourstore.com, or if you just go to our homepage and click on Yahoo Store Tips. This will also take you to our blog. We put the replays here. We put all the information for next week. For instance, right here. If you missed out our webinar, no problem. Here's the replay to link to week 2. If you haven't watched week 2, I highly recommend it. Excuse me. I put in some great links for some really awesome stuff, including the Analytics Solution Gallery, which I highly, highly, highly recommend, and you'll also be able to click on replay part 1. Give me a couple of hours and our blog will then have today's video and download and everything else that you will need on it as well. Again, you can go to blog.onechoiceforyourstore.com for that, or you can click on Yahoo Tips and go to our blog, which is blog.onechoiceforyourstore.com. Don't forget, if you're looking to start the new RTML class, you want to make sure you do it today. This is the last day that you're going to get the early bird pricing. HTML and CSS, we're starting our second week this week, so there's plenty of time to join us. And if you need some help with social media, give me, write me. Just click on email us up here on the top. Let me know what's going on, and we'll make sure to help you with that. Or join our group coaching so that way we can help teach you. Okay? All right, perfect. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And Casey, thank you. I will see you tonight as well. For those of you that are in our HTML class from May, I'll see you guys tonight. For those of you in group coaching, I'll see you tomorrow. If you're not in either one of those, I guess I'll see you next week. Have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful day. Bye for now.